Hey everyone, we'll be starting shortly, getting everything set up. Alright, that's all done. Connection seems to be fine. I think we are good to go. Yep. Alright, hi everyone. Welcome to another stream of Great Ace Attorney. Where we left off last time, we had managed to get into the second part of the trial, where we had managed to get Edgar Benedict on the stand, where he said that I was not at the place. Why would I steal anything? And we were like, no, you did. And he was like, maybe I did do something, but I didn't do that. And then we managed to get Gina back on the stand, and she admitted to basically doing perjury for the previous trial with McGilded. Which, hasn't put us in a good light with the jury, the people that are in the stands, and pretty much everyone in the court. But we're still aiming for trying to get Gina off this murder charge. And I believe we're about to go back into questioning Edgar again, while we're also waiting for something else. Can't quite recall, but we'll find out. Other than that, yeah, I hope everyone had a nice weekend. Mine was alright. Yeah, that's about it. Hope everyone's doing good. I guess we'll just go straight into it, so let us go. Hey, Refertron, welcome. Where are you, game? There you are. Hello, Battle. Right. Over there, something picked up. Yep, showing up on there. We're good to go. Let's go. One stretch first. Continue. Yes. Let's see if I can do the voices today. Oh yeah, a box. That was it. We were looking for a box. I have to get into my deep voice now. So this is the article in question, is it? A small box deposited with the pawnbroker by Mr. McGilded 2 months ago. And on the night of Mr. Winterbank's murder, the only item on the shelves that was touched by whoever broke into the shop. Quick, let's open it and see what's inside. Good gracious, this is an ordinary box, it seems. Wow. Although in truth, I had an inkling that might be the case. It would appear that the box houses a miniature music box movement. Then this is too much to expect. I think it would be reasonable to assume that it is a device for the playback of this disc, my lord. Is it going to be that, the police officer going to be, you can't play that, it's evidence now, you can't use it. So here we have with the means to play back Mr. McGilden's disc, deposited at Winterbanks at much the same time. Not strictly correct, my lord. It was not Mr. McGilden's disc. It was the disc of his victim in the omnibus. But why, for heaven's sake? Are we to understand that the brickmaker was trying to sell this music box disc to Mr. McGilden? I believe the answer will become clear if we listen to the music on the disc, my lord. Yes, very well. Let the court now listen to this curious disc at last. Second? Just started, already had stinks. Great.
Hold it!
Wait, my lord! Good grief, what is the meaning of this, Inspector? The music box and the disc are, they're unrelated to the case. No need to spoil the somber atmosphere in the courtroom with some silly bit of music.
Objection!
Disc may very well be motivated the culprit in the case This disc may very well have motivated the culprit in this case to commit murder. Clearly, there's every chance that it's fundamentally important to understanding what happened. The prosecution has no objection. But no! That piece of evidence is police property now, you can't... Clearly, Scotland Yard has vested interest here. But it is policy for the prosecutor to have no avenues of and you, Inspector, have no jurisdiction here to prevent that from happening. No! No further delays, please. Play the disc. This is Morse code. It's funny that I can immediately recognize it as Morse code, and yet I don't understand how to translate it. What on earth? That's certainly not what I would call music. No. It's just the same note playing over and over again in an irregular sequence. Mr. Graydon? This really is priceless. After all that, the music box is broken. Broken? It can't be, can it? Well, obviously. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised. It's the officer sent to fetch it didn't drop it on the way back to the courtroom. Well, with much regret, I feel the court must accept that this music box offers little in the way of clues. Are you ready to move on, counsel? Come on! Yes, alright, it does sound as though it's completely broken, but is it? Could this music emanating from the music box possibly be a new clue? I believe that it could be relevant, my lord. Good lord! How can that be? It's an abomination, counsel! Mere noise! I fail to see how it can have any meaning whatsoever. I don't know why I suddenly changed his voice there. It's because of the good gracious, I think. It does sound strange, I agree, but there's one thing bothering me. While Graydon stands there chortling victoriously, the inspector beside him has a rather telling expression on his face. It's as if Gregson recognizes the sound and as if he's familiar with it somehow. And that's making him appear extremely on edge. If that's the stance of the defense, my Nipponese friend, answer me this. Oh! Just what relevance do you propose this woeful chiming has on this case? It's the defendant's belief that the sound emanating from this music box is not supposed to be music. Just because this is a music box, it doesn't necessarily mean the sounds we're hearing are music. Look at that. The smile vanished from Graydon's lips as soon as I said it. I'm on the right lines here. I must be. Making deductions based on how people react to what you say. You're acting just like Hurley, Runo. We play off pretty together, you know. They often get each other very well. He's the detective, and I'm the guy that points out the flaws in his logic.
Objection!
The sounds we're hearing aren't necessarily music. Well, now you've got to tell us what they are not. Now that you've told us what they are not, I'm sure the court would like to hear what they are. Do enlighten us, my Japanese friend. Well, surely you have an idea in mind, because if not, it would be the death of your ill-formed argument. Exactly. The music box is clearly broken. Refusing to accept that is pure foolishness. They've got me. I don't know what the answer is yet. Runo, I've just examined the music box very thoroughly, and I'm fairly certain that it's not broken at all. Really? Really, the way it's been made, it can only produce a single note anyway. Thank you, Iris. Gregson is a Discord mod. Alright, well, if the music box isn't broken, it must mean that the sounds it's producing have some significance that isn't musical. Could it be? Is that what these sounds are? Something's just struck me, Runo. I feel like recently, in the past few hours even, I've heard another sound very much like this one this music box makes. Yes, it's a familiar sound. Actually, Iris, I was just thinking exactly the same thing. I'm gonna have to press the defense for an answer. If your assertion is that the sound produced by this music box is not in fact music at all, then what the devil is it, counsel? All the evidence we've seen so far, all the testimony we've heard, it doesn't point to one single answer now. The prosecution demands that my learned Nibonese friend presents proof now. Why did he have to say that entire sentence at all? He could just say the defense, but he has to put in my learned Nipponese friend every time. The tangible proof of his latest wild speculation. Alright then. This could be the best chance I'm going to get to fight back in this trial. If I'm right, it's going to join all the dots together. The evidence that explains the true nature of the sounds in this music box disc is not in here. I'm supposed to present something? Probably the newspaper then, because that's the only one that has the,
Take that!
Today's paper, counsel. The headline is Pawnbroker perishes in pick purse plunder. Hardly supportive of your cause. No, my lord. I was hoping you'd look a little further down the page. Further down? Ministry mole. Classified secrets may have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. Yes, this is a very serious matter being investigated at the highest level, I understand. I have heard that international transmissions on supposedly secure lines are somehow being intercepted. You wouldn't happen to know about that, my Nipponese friend, would you? And linked to various other countries. And presumably, those transmissions are in the form of wired telegrams. Of course. Juror number 5, your input, please. Stop. Oh, me, sir? Whatever is the matter? I told the court before that you worked at the same communication station as Mr. Drake, did you not? Yes, that's correct. And the particular station where you work deals with government communications and newspaper reports. Oh, yes, we're not your run-of-the-mill communication station at all. Our work is extremely important. And then tell me, is this not a very familiar sound? Hmm? You don't mean to say. Is it? That's right, madam. It bears more than a passing resemblance to the sound made by your telegraph machine as you tap it. I believe it's called Morse code. But I don't believe it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to leaking telegrams from government departments, there could be nobody more perfectly placed than a highly skilled communications officer. Are you suggesting that the music box disc contains stolen government secrets and Morse code? Order! Order! Everyone, please! Order! But this is high treason, Council! Deserving of capital punishment! But too much new vocabulary. What is this treason? And what is capital punishment? I'm so glad I managed to slip into that Russian so easily this time. God. Sorts of words I've half expect you to know. Now quickly capping on chat. Man cannot be neurotypical. Me? Sholmes? You can't badmouth me. I'm the streamer here. He's just mad because his boyfriend Sholmes is incapacitated. It's missing a sound. What's missing a sound? The box or something else? For our sovereign government's confidential information, hostile nations would surely pay almost any price. Yes, and on that night 2 months ago, that was the very negotiation that was taking place inside the omnibus. Baroque. Oh, okay. But in the end, Gilded perished, and all important disc lay unclaimed in the pawn. My word! I don't think so, Raphael. In which case, whoever stole that information in the first place must surely have been beside himself with worry. Oh, the code. Maybe I just missed it. Like, maybe I clicked it before it did the sound, but if it's missing the sound, that's weird. I don't know if I said this, I'll say it again. Whoever stole the information in the first place must surely have been beside himself with worry. Because if the disc were to be discovered before it found its way out of the country, it would reveal a high treasonous punishable by death. So the culprit had no choice but to retrieve it. And in order to do that, he would have to gain entry to the pawnbrokery illegally in the middle of the night. Because the article left behind by Mr. McGilded would incriminate him too much if it got into the wrong hands. Isn't that right, Mr. Graydon? You think I've been stealing government secrets? Oh, ran out of breath then. Secrets? Preposterous. Absolutely preposterous. So, in response to the defense's accusation, you claim complete innocence, do you? Well, of course I do. I've had to stand here in silence before the pretentious foreign lawyer has been prattling away.
Objection!
I beg your pardon. I can be mean to him. Then by all means, counter the charges, sir. The prosecution demands the witness testifies in response to the accusations brought by the defense. Delighted, I'm sure. The witness is reminded that the crime under scrutiny is in this trial is the murder of the pawnbroker, Mr. Winterbank. That being a most flagitious offence, for which the law of this land sanctions a capital punishment. But the heinous act of high treason is no less a serious crime. In fact, it's probably more. A murder is probably not. If I'm thinking about this, a law for high treason is worse. What I'm trying to say. I urge you to bear that in mind as you testify, Mr. Graydon. So then let us proceed. You may... We on, let's have a rabbit pork here, Governor. You got a lot of things to say. I beg your pardon? Who do you think you are? Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is professional baddie. Name's Ringo Skulkin. We ain't baddies enough to sell out our motherland. That's right. We're what they call the Three Skulkin Brothers. Bad timing, fellas. Very bad timing. Nobody makes fun of my learned friend but me, says Barrack, lovingly. Graydon's counter. A mere communications officer couldn't possibly steal confidential government information. Besides, the sounds produced by that music box aren't even Morse code. It was some low-class brickmaker negotiating with me gilded anyway, was it not? I have no relation to the man. Look, we went down his break into the gaff the other night like we was told to do. If we'd known there was a dodgy government secrets involved, we wouldn't have touched it. They're like fighting on the stand now. Mr. Skulkin. One Mr. will do, Governor. What's up? Do I take it that you now admit to the crime? As on the night in question, you did indeed gain entry to the premises illegally. And moreover, you did so as a party of three, in collaboration with Mr. Graydon here. We did, Gov, we did. Oh, okay. They're admitting it, which is... Graydon's like, what the hell are you doing? I paid you good money for this. And you dare implicate me? Quiet down, please. What do you say to that, Mr. Graydon? I have no idea what these two ruffians are referring to. Little rotter, getting us mixed up in all this monkey business. You never said nothing about no government secrets. It was supposed to be straight up job. And what about the geezer who shop it was, eh? Poor old bloke didn't even have to die, did he? Best to know your friends are. Who your friends are? Whatever these men say, I deny the accusations. Indeed. I don't feel like shows would have made the afraid of technology line. I don't know. People are always afraid of technology. Technology! Ah! Well, I certainly wasn't expecting this little music box to become so significant in the proceedings. However, as it has, I will admit it to the court record as evidence. More music box has been added. And now I get to examine it. Cross-examination. See how the gilded disc sits in the music box the man puts it in the banks? It couldn't be a more perfect fit. So there's no question that the disc was designed to be played in this music box. Yet despite that, the sounds it produces are neither musical, nor do they appear to have any meaning. It just doesn't make any sense. I wonder if they flip it into reverse. I wonder if perhaps there's more to this music box than meets the eye. Maybe we haven't discovered all of its secrets yet. The mechanism that turns the bumps in the disc into sound, isn't it? Yes, the movement. It's next to the combs with its teeth that are blocked by the passive bumps. And usually the teeth of the comb are different lengths, so as that each one produces a different note. But the disc comb is very strange. All the teeth are exactly the same length. Jumping out from behind the judge and shouting technology. Well, what does that mean? It means that no matter which tooth is plucked by the passive bumps, the music box will make the same sound. I've never seen a music box like this before. Yeah, it is strange. Music box that only plays a single note? There has to be a significance to that, surely. Is this a button? Oh, this is a button. Oh. What is it, Uno? I've just noticed something about the music box. Looks like the bottom of it opens up as well. You're right. Well, come on then. What are you waiting for? Let's open it. All right then. Here it goes. It's another one. Oh, look at that. There's another movement on the underside. So does that mean you can set another disc to play back on this side? Yes, I think so. And it looks like the two movements are linked together. They're linked. So if you had two discs, they would probably play both back at the same time. So we need to find a second disc. That's why they were missing notes. What does that even mean, Baloroth? Who'd have thought that there'd be a second movement on the underside of the box? And this movement is like the other one. The combs and teeth are all the same length. So the movements are also only produced a single tone, like the other one? Yes, it must do. Except that the length of the teeth from the two combs isn't the same. So the single tone produced by this movement will be different to the single tone we've already heard. What? Basically, each movement can only produce a single note. But the notes they produce are different? Oh, okay. But the notes they produce are different. A music box that can only play two notes. Does this make a special, like, stand for it then? So you put it upright like this? Sort of? I can't make it straight, so I'm gonna have to just do it like this. You know what I mean? Where it's just flat like that. And you can put the discs on each side and it'll be like playing at the same time. I think that's pretty much everything we can learn about this. I'll do the switch just in case it does do something else. Yep, same thing. Alright. Get out of here.
Hold it!
So, is this newspaper headline accurate? Government communications are being intercepted. How could I possibly know? What do you mean by that? And important government communications are handled by high-level officers, by specialists. General members of staff in the station where I work would never be entrusted with sensitive information. Oh no, stop. Must say something, stop. Let me guess. Juror number 5. We regular communications officers aren't as lowly as you're being held to believe. A team of us are responsible for setting up and testing telegrams used by the ministry. And Mr. Graydon is the team leader. That's fascinating. It's like, we got lucky with this other juror who's just like, hold on a minute, he's wrong there. It's like, okay, thank you, you're being helpful. Graydon is highly skilled operator stop, currently in presence of idle stop. You had access to the equipment used in these confidential communications, Mr. Graydon. Well, what of it? The transmissions are always made behind closed doors so they can be heard. And in any case, all messages are sent enciphered. Normal employees couldn't possibly understand them. Oh no, stop. Must say something, stop. Mr. Graydon regularly attends meetings with ministry technicians and the ministry communications team. He assists them in ensuring that they have no errors in important international communications. And he's received the top prize at the Cipher Cracking Convention 5 years in a row now. He's coming in, it's like, no, you're wrong, it's this. I'm like, see? I'm just expecting Mr. Graydon to be like, would you shut up, woman? You're ruining me. That's fascinating. Green is a highly skilled operator stop, currently in presence of idle stop. Well, your idol would appreciate it if you'd keep your mouth shut. She should really pick her idols more carefully. Hey, what can I say? Some people fall for the tragic, well, not tragic, the tragically evil hero or whatever idol. You know, like Musk. Or other people. I tell you, this lawyer's accusations are completely unfounded.
Hold it!
They're not. But to anyone with a brain, that would be blatant apparent on listening on that music box for a few seconds. Of course, of course. Surely it can't be that my learned friend is unfamiliar with Morse code. Everyone is unfamiliar with Morse code. What do you mean? Not everyone just suddenly knows what it means. You have specific people trained to translate that. Ouch. He looks generally shocked at my ignorance. I would be more than happy to demonstrate the basics for you, sir. A lesson here in court? Morse code is a continuous series of two distinct tones. Tones, you say? Yes, a short dot and a long dash. By combining those into different ways, you can construct letters. I see. For example, this is an A, and this is a B. When you listen to the sound produced by this music box, you only hear one tone, don't you? But it sounds so similar, the rhythm of it is the same in everything. But there's no discernible meaning to this apparent random sequence of sounds. So your assertion is fundamentally flawed. This is not Morse code. No! Really, you shouldn't be surprised. What did I tell you? That music box is nothing but a worthless piece of scrap. Perhaps you might consider studying your subject matter before casting aspersions in future. Stop. Nothing to say but stop. Oh, it's so frustrating, isn't it? Isn't it, Iris? I mean, if the government secrets were somehow being leaked using the music box, so many other things would slot into place so nicely. Give me the second disc! Could there be still something I haven't considered? Would it really be impossible to use this music box somehow to play the Morse code back? Well, I don't have a second one! This is the only one I have at the moment, so I can't really say... There's still very possibility that this music was instrumental in leaking the government secrets. That's the belief of the defense, at least.
Objection!
Does it please you in some way, my dear friend, to repeat the same line of argument ad infinitum? Infinitum. It's already been established in Morse code. Two tones are required, dots and dashes. Yes, I'm well aware of that. Then what? Well, it would appear that the defense has a hypothesis to put forward. You had better present your idea at once, counsel. How do you propose that this music box, which appears to produce only a single sound, could have possibly been used to decipher secret messages into Morse code? What is it, Bruno? I've just noticed something about this music box. I don't know why I can't skip this. It opens up as well. You're right. Well, come on then. What are you waiting for? Let's open it. All right then, here goes. Look at that. There's another movement on the underside. Yes, I know. We already looked at this. You can set another disc to play back on this side. Yes, I think so. Come on. If you have two discs, then you'll probably play back at the same time. Second movement onto the other side of the box. This movement looks like the other one. The tones aren't all teeth all the same length. So this means the movement can only produce a single tone, like the other one. Yes, it must be blah, 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 blah. Yes, I know. Let me skip. I already listened to this.
Got it!
Got it. Good gracious, what am I looking at here? Another movement on the other side of the music box. What? It appears, my lord, that their two movements are linked together. In other words, you can put two discs in the music box, and the sounds of both will play back at the same time. Good heavens! As the court has heard, Morse code comprises of two tones, a short dot and a long dash. With a second disc in place, the music box could be used to generate Morse code and convey a message. This is beyond a joke. I'm sorry? This poor excuse for a lawyer has absolutely no evidence to support his claims. Though, of course, my learned friend would be able to present the court with the second disc, but that would be another matter. Well, I don't even think I have the bars. No, I don't have the bars, so I can't present anything. I can't at the moment. And may I remind the court that, as the witness has pointed out, he was not the one in the omnibus who we gilded 2 months ago, striking a deal over the discs or discs. Indeed, that was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. Exactly, I had nothing to do with it whatsoever. Although it has holes, I must admit the argument presented by the defense has much promise. I believe the cross-examination should continue. The link between Graydon and the victim of the omnibus case must be there somewhere, but I haven't found it yet. Oh dear, it looks like you need to give your argument more strength, Uno. You will reiterate your testimony if you please, Mr. Graydon. I like that it does this, because usually it's like, in the previous games, it'd be like, if you presented something, but it was the actual right answer, but you presented it too soon, it wouldn't work. It would just be like, no, you presented the wrong thing. Next. This is like, you presented the right thing, but it's too early to do that, so continue questioning. I like that. Do that more. Because usually when you do that, that usually makes me think, oh, I guess that means that this thing doesn't work at all. I'll move on. I mean, not all the time, but sometimes that happens. If I must, though, I must maintain exactly what I did at the start of this pointless cross-examination.
Hold it!
So, 2 months ago in the omnibus, McGill had killed the brickmaker and stole the disc. Mr. Mason was a single man with almost nothing to his name. It seems he lived in an artisan quarter some years ago, but people there remember little about him. That doesn't make much sense, though, does it? How would a humble brickmaker come to acquire secret government information? How, indeed. There must have been somebody else involved behind the scene of all of this. Somebody who acquired the disc and gave it up to Mr. Mason. In order to take it to the meeting with McGilded and negotiate a deal. Dear me. You may have it in for me, sir, but I assure you, I have far more class than that. An old brickmaker from an artisan quarter and this well-to-do communications officer. They're father and son! When I could find some evidence to link the two of them together. You have nothing more to add on that note. Let us return to the witness testimony.
Hold it!
Like Mr. Graydon told you to, you mean? That's it, yeah. Who else, eh? Silly me thought we was popping over for a naffa with all them years, but the rotters had a dodgy old job for us. Here, Ash. Let me stop you there, Mr. Skulkin. After all them years, you say? Creighton is an acquaintance of yours. We're the sociable kind of baddies, you know? Sure, let's say Creighton's an old China.
Excuse me.
Is something wrong, Mr. Skulkin? Eh? No, the other Mr. Skulkin. What? Who, me? When your brother testifying just now, he said something that seemed to cause you to react. Oh, I was just remembering the old days, that's all. We used to have a right old laugh together way back when. Together? Mr. Creighton, you mean? Yeah, with Ash. I mean, you look at him now and fancy a whistle flute, and you wouldn't Adam and Eve it. But when he was younger, he was from the poor part of town, just like us. Is that so? But he was a leery one. He had the brains, we had the savvy. Always coming up with some smart ideas like what never had gone through these heads. Or our heads. Oh, blimey. Ain't that the truth? Remember Milverton and Skulkin's milk run? That was a corker, eh? Save it until after the trial. Your reminiscing has no place in this courtroom. And neither does your fruit. Oi, the geezer just asked us a question, didn't he? And he was answering. Yeah, we ain't done nothing wrong. And nevertheless, the court is not prepared to accompany you on the trip down memory lane. Counsel, can we return our attention back to the testimony, please? I don't know. Would that sentimental story be relevant somehow? Sure. My lord. Yes, counsel. The brother's last sentimental statement could hold vital information related to this case. Very well, counsel. We'll permit the brothers to supplement their testimony with that detail. Briefly, I hasten to add. Say no more. Skulkin ain't never skulkin. Milverton, Skulkin, milk and run. God, them were the days. Whoops. All of a sudden, we seem to be up to our necks in a serious matter of national security. Although, all this talk about interception of secret government message is still just conjecture at this stage. It would explain a number of things, though, wouldn't it? The negotiation Ginny overheard from the omnibus 2 months ago and the break-in at Winterbanks. But the trouble is, it wasn't Mr. Creighton in the omnibus and Mr. McGilded. No, that was Mr. Mason, the brickmaker who was so horribly murdered. If only there was some link between the two men somehow. I know, but Mr. Creighton's testimony seems to be as watertight as ever. I wonder if the key to us making headway with the cross-examination here could be those two brothers.
Hold it!
So, did you know nothing about this music box? We didn't know nothing. We didn't know nothing. We still don't know nothing. And we ain't planning on knowing nothing about it either. But 2 nights ago, you did indeed break into Winterbank's pawnbroker, didn't you? In your original testimony, you said that the door of the shop was ajar, and that it was some kind of sign begging you to go in. Was it a jam jar? But the truth is, you were planning to break into Winterbank's all along, weren't you? Oh, you were, Gov, you were? You're right there. I keep changing his voice. But that's what he told us to do. It was his plan. And why is it Mr. Creighton's plan to break into Winterbanks that night? Did you not ask the reason? Oh, well, he said the place was full of stuff worth nicking. That was what he told us beforehand, anyway. Turned out it was a load of cobblers, didn't it? I wasn't best pleased, I can tell you. In any case, if they know the real reason, it doesn't sound like they're going to give it away. Nope. Oh, not like that. sure I'm going to regret asking, but what exactly was that? Some kind of business? Just a little scheme we had going back when we was youngsters. A bit of fun, really. Delivering fresh milk to the locals. That's what it was all about. Whoops. That sounds alarmingly legitimate. There must be a catch. It wasn't actually milk, it was paint. Suppose since we're here, I should ask them to elaborate, but on what? Business model, I guess. So, how did your little business work exactly? Well, every morning down our way, the milkman would come with his cart to deliver the milk, see? If we stuck your empties outside your front door, he would leave you full again, eh? Right? So we swooped in action. A lot of people signed up with us. We promised to deliver milk for half the price. The other seekers and geezers doing it. People couldn't wait to sign in the dotted line. We were raking it in, yeah, we were. So, did you leave on a dairy ferry? Or dairy ferry? What the hell? What the hell's a dairy ferry? Dairy farm or something? Gordon Bennett, you're off your rocker. We ain't had enough. We ain't nothing. You're poor to have a farm. Right. Now, what we had going on was a simple once you had the idea. We just switch them over. See? Our customers empties with the full ones, so that anyone who wasn't on our books. A doddle, right? So they just stole milk and then sold it back to people. I think you meant to say a diddle, and that's a crime. It was just an harmless bit of fun, that's all. Milking the general public in such a fashion is most certainly not harmless, as you put it. Well, it was what who came up with the idea. That's just the evil genius. You mean Mr. Graydon? That's why he's white now. He drank all the milk. And it was like, I like the color white. I'm going to dress like it for the rest of my life. Yeah, Ash already had in his book when he was growing up. Said he was going to get himself an education. Edumation. I actually got it right, but I just said it differently. And get out of the slums we lived in. Well, we ragged him about it, didn't we? Told him it was soft in the head thinking about even it. But look at him now. He's only got to become blinking communication officer, ain't he? Communications officer, Mr. Skulkin. Show him some Wilson's milk run. No, Iris, don't even think about it. He starts adding it to her book. He is slowly becoming milk. Alright, let's ask about the second one. I don't know why, but their reaction when they're like going, yeah, it's kind of funny.
Hold it!
Skip. Skip. Business name. Raiden, I am the milkman. My milk is delicious. Yeah. Now that I've played that game, you're right. So this business was just a bit of fun, you say? And it was just yourselves and Mr. Graydon involved? Yeah, that's it. Milverton and Skulkin's Milk Run, was it? Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah, that's it. And where did the name Milverton Park come from? Oh, right. Well, I thought a clever clocks like you'd ever worked that one out. That is... Enough of this. How much longer are we suspected to listen to this dribble?
Objection.
I don't... Let me guess. You don't accept anything these two witnesses are saying? Tell me, why is it that why is it that it was only you at the mention... oh, come on, read! Tell me, why is it that is... Why is this hard? Why is it that it was only at the mention of the name Milverton that you decided to interject? There we go. God, -5 points for me. Because well... Where the appices of Holmes that came from? Yeah, he was an old man, was struggling for money so much it was wife walked out on him. She took the name Graydon then, see? But Ash will always be Milverton to us. It's Dio! It's really Dio! His mother walks out. His father is like a drunk asshole. Milverton. So that used to be your surname, did it? Of course not. This is all bumpkin. I've been a Graydon since I was born. Do you really think you can rely on the testimony of these two thieves, huh? You're a communications officer attached to the civil service. As such, your personal details will have been thoroughly checked at the time of your appointment. It would be a very simple matter indeed to subpoena those records, Mr. Graydon. Well, it would appear that Mr. and Mr. Skulkin's testimony has been reliable for once. You were born Ashley Milverton, then? Is that correct? Very well, yes. So Ashley Graydon was once Ashley Milverton. That information could change things, and could turn out to be extremely important. Ashley Graydon is a childhood friend of the Skulkin brothers. He's trying to throw them under the bus, too. Oh, well, I can't present his profile? What is Mr. Mason's full name again? Because if his last name is Milverton, that's going to be something. Milverton! There it is! I knew it was somewhere!
Objection!
Mr. Ashley Milverton. Tell me, why did you try to hide your former name from the court? Because I haven't gone by that name for years. It means nothing to me. No, I don't think that's the real explanation at all. The truth is, you had a reason to hide that name. Explain yourself, please, counsel. I have here the notes from the omnibus case, my lord. And as we all know, the victim, the man who we understand to have been negotiating with Mr. McGilded. Yes, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. That's right. Only Mason wasn't his surname at all. It was his given name. His full name was Mason Milverton. Milverton? Do you mean to say? Sakes alive! Mr. Ashley Milverton, is it not the case that the brickmaker Mr. Mason Milverton was your father? I don't... no. You're lying. I believe I mentioned earlier. Your familiar history is going to be checked thoroughly when you join the civil service. I decided to just go with that. It's like, screw it. And it really would take no time at all for the court to subpoena those records. The truth is that you've been illegally acquiring highly confidential government information and selling it on to McGilded in collaboration with your father. The new facts and evidence unveiled by the cross-examination of this witness all come together to reveal the truth. The truth, you say? That you're collaborating with your father, Mr. Mason Milverton, in so many M's, Mr. Mason Milverton, in illegal dealings with Magnus McGilded. By the dint of this music box, you mean, counsel? Yes, stealing information being sent in secret government communications and selling it to Mr. McGilded. Mr. Graydon concocted this elaborate scheme using a 2-music box disc to encode the information, as presumably a safety measure against the information falling into the wrong hands. And a very effective one. I shouldn't have given the scheme any credence whatsoever. The deal with McGilded went sour. The brickmaker met his end. Yes, but he was before he was arrested, McGilded managed to temporarily dispose of the stolen disc at the pawnbroker. Then, having learnt of the situation, you appeared at the Winterbanks 2 days ago in an attempt to recover the 2 articles McGilded had pawned and placed there. But that attempt failed. One of the discs was seized by the police and the other never found. So that same night, you enlisted the help of the skulking brothers and broke into the pawnbroker. This time, determined to recover the second disc. Are you suggesting that the second disc was inside the music box? Eh? We ain't know nothing about that. On the night that Mr. Winterbank was killed, we're just pulling stuff out of our butt at this point. The intruder to the pawnbrokery touched on the one item and one item alone, the music box. As rather ingeniously demonstrated by using the 2 prints from the security camera, indeed. So, the question that naturally begs answering is this. Why was only that one article disturbed? The answer is obvious, because it contained the second disc, which the intruder was desperate to retrieve. Since if it were to fall into the hands of the police, it would be proof of high treason. Well, Mr. Graydon, do you deny that all of this actually began on that fateful night, 2 months ago? I refuse to accept any of this nonsense! Sir, there appears to be blood seeping through the sleeve of your jacket. Oh, I missed that. What? 2 nights ago, we know that 3 shots were fired at the scene of the crime in Winterbank's pawnbrokery. 1 took the life of the pawnbroker himself. 1 struck the pouch Mr. Holmes around Mr. Sholmes' waist. I don't need to see him hurt. That hurts. Don't hurt the baby. And the final bullet struck the calendar on the wall of the shop, having first pierced the arm of one of the intruders. Mr. Graydon, that wound on your arm that you seem to be trying to hide, it's a bullet wound, isn't it? Got you now, me old China. Time to call it quits and croak, I reckon. Don't acknowledge my presence there under any circumstances whatsoever. Those are my terms, remember, and I paid you handsomely to comply. Clearly, I was a fool to think I could trust some common backslum thieves. Fine, I admit it. I was there in Winterbanks that night. I paid this pair 10 guineas to accompany me. And as you notice, I sustained an injury in the course of my adventure. It looks more brown than blood. He's got poop on his arm. Never mind. But that is all. I admit to nothing more. Stealing government secrets, negotiating with Mr. McGilded. As God is my witness, I'm sure I recall nothing of the sort. It's not going to go down without a fight. Not until I can show hard evidence, I suppose. Nevertheless, the defense has now established a crucial fact. Which is... Well, we know that 1 bullet was fired from each of the 2 firearms we have in evidence. The bullet from the Skulking Brothers' gun hit the pouch around Sholmes' waist. And the bullet from the Winterbank's gun clearly must have been the one that caught Mr. Grayton in the arm. Indeed, it must. We can rule out the possibility that the man shot himself. And that leads us to only one conclusion. Mr. Windibank was shot by a third gun, which can only have been fired by the third intruder. Goodness! Benzeeks is always surprised by how good I'm able to do this. That's right, Mr. Graydon. The only person who could have possibly have shot Mr. Windibank that night is you. Might need to turn a little bit this way to face him. You little upstart. You made a grave mistake when you summoned me here. I'm going to kick your dog, and I'm going to be your mortal enemy for the rest of your life, until you discover the power of Hammon, and have discovered her mask, and then we have to fight, and then I become a vampire, or something. What? What's that supposed to mean? Yes, as you rightly say, I was there at the pawnbroker's. I did my best to hide the fact, naturally. I had no intention of ruining the distinguished career I'd built for myself at the communication station. But did the thought never cross your mind? Did you never consider the possibility? What? What do you mean? What thought? What possibility? The possibility that if I was there at the scene, I may have witnessed the crucial moment. You see, this makes me a key witness in this case, and I have my hands firmly around the neck of your client. What? Are you suggesting? I saw it all. I saw the very moment that pickpocket girl pointed the gun at that poor defenseless pawnbroker and shot him. What? Order, order, order! Ah, well. It would seem we are finally entering the last act of this theatrical trial. Mr. Grayton. Yes? I trust you are fully aware of the implications here. It is shown that your claim is false. Absolutely. Joke's on you, he's been plaguing them for over 9 generations. You will have incriminated yourself as the killer. Oh, I understand fully. And you will fall then. And then I must ask you to give your formal testimony and once more. You will explain to the court precisely what you saw at the moment the defendant allegedly shot the victim. And nothing would bring me greater pleasure. And we're gonna just trust his witness statement? He's lied this whole time. That makes him an untrustworthy witness. While these ruffians were jostling with the broker, I was still near the entrance to the shop. And then Windibank threw Nash over the counter. I felt a sharp pain in my arm. I pursued the man, but he shut himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. The accused, in a black coat, shot the man in the back as he was trying to flee to safety. I saw the blood splatter all over that wretched girl. She has no blood on her. And then she tossed the gun out of the peephole, so I picked it up and made my escape. We know that's a lie because she had it on her. Oh, goodness gracious. This is quite extraordinary testimony. You claim, sir, under oath, to have clearly seen the defendant pulling the trigger? Order, order, order! It was my intention to testify in this way. I just didn't get around to it, I guess. But neither is my intention to be found guilty of a murder I did not commit. So you see, my hand has been forced. I shall tell the truth now as an act of self-preservation. The truth? So now, the prosecution is completely unaware of these details. Yes, well, sorry about that. Having shot me in the arm, the pawnbroker was then shot in the back by the accused. And as I said, she was showered in his blood. You say the blood spattered over the accused coat. Are you sure on that point? Oh yes, quite sure. All over the black overcoat the pickpocket girl was wearing at the time. Really? If her coat could somehow be shown to harbour vestiges of blood, that would be conclusive evidence here. Such an investigation is entirely impossible. What? Only very recently, a German scientist has developed a technique to identify human blood. So here's the true science, not some amateur's detective's dubious foray into the world of chemistry. There's nothing dubious about Hurley's work. His ideas are all sound. Ideas are no use to us here. In science, as in law, theories must be proven before they stand. In Germany, the technique has already been employed and reported as the basis of evidence. Scotland Yard has a small quantity of the chemical reagent used, with your lordship's permission. Weed would shatter all vestiges of doubt within minutes. This doesn't look good, Bruno. Why not? Well, we know, don't we, that there's blood all over the front of Ginny's coat. If they test it with their chemicals... Oh. Oh, help, you're right. What do you mean, oh, help? I was forgetting what happened yesterday. Don't move, Ginny. I'm going to shoot. But that's not Mr. Benderbank's blood. That's stained from 2 months ago. That's Mr. Mason's blood from where he was stabbed by McGilded, who was wearing the coat at the time. My lord, the defense objects to the test proposed by the prosecution. Overruled. Lord Van Zieks, make it so at once. With pleasure, my lord. And while we wait the results, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Once they find that blood in the overcoat, Gina will be... Counsel? Yes, my lord. That's me. Sorry about that. Your cross-examination. Of course, my lord. If this cross-examination doesn't go well, if I don't manage to uncover some decisive evidence or really compelling clue now, I have a very bad feeling about the outcome of this trial. I'm going to go immediately to the one that I already noticed. No, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to press N. What's your feeling, Bruno? As much as I hate to admit it, I don't see any obvious holes in his testimony at the moment. But you have to find a way to break this, man. And quickly, too, because once they discover the blood on the overcoat Gina was wearing... It's a bit strange that he's so sure of himself about seeing the blood splatter over Ginny's coat. It doesn't strike me as the sort of thing you'd claim if you hadn't genuinely seen it happen. We know that Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windybank, so what's going on? He's probably remembering the time where Mr. Britt Mason was killed, because that would have had the blood all over it. All I know is that it's very unfair. Why would some German scientist's test be acceptable as evidence when mine and Hurley's wasn't? The detectives can use test tubes too. Never mind that, I have to find a really stark inconsistency with his testimony off somewhere. I have to find it before the prosecution discovers the bloodstain on Gina's coat. Skip, 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 skip. Right. What is that?
Objection!
I guess not. Let's just consider implications rather than. Because she had the gun in her hand. Why would she throw away another gun? She had 2 guns. Why would she throw them away? Wait. I thought I saw something else then. I thought we had a picture of her passed out with the gun in her hand, but I guess not. Guess we'll start from the beginning.
Hold it!
Mr. Winneback emerged from the storeroom, I believe. Ringo and Nash were scouring the counter when he suddenly appeared and threw at them. He already had the revolver in his hand. Fortunately, I wasn't too close. I've never been so scared in my life. Yeah, we were just regular mild-mannered burglars. That's all. You ain't done nothing like violence. We don't like violence. Says the pair who carry a gun. What do you mean when you say you were near the entrance to the shop? I was in the doorway, running my eyes over the shelves of forfeited items. Looking for the music box, of course. The broker went for Nash in the first place. Then Ringo joined in, making it 2 against 1, so I assumed they could handle the situation. But I was wrong. I was trying to help my bruv, but the old geezer chucked me over the blooming counter. So I pulled my gun on the old fella, and that soon made him scarper. The pair of you setting upon the poor defenseless poor broker together, shame on you. Sorry, Gov. He had a gun. I don't think he was defenseless.
Hold it!
You mean, that's the moment you were shot? Yes, though I didn't immediately realize what had happened, of course. Things crashed to the floor from the counter as the 3 men were brawling. It was exactly that moment that it happened, so I didn't hear the gunshot. And the bullet wound went on to strike the calendar on the wall behind you. So it would appear. So I looked at my arm and I saw it was bleeding badly, so I wrapped my handkerchief around it. Seeing as I couldn't explain what had happened to a doctor, I had no choice but to wait for it to heal. I didn't imagine it would still be bleeding 2 days later. Did Mr. Winterback intend to shoot you, do you think? Well now, I don't imagine he even noticed I was there, to be honest. Perhaps the gun went off accidentally. Anyway, it didn't quite strike home. When I pulled my gun on him, he tried to shove me out of the way. And then we scarpeted it through the door at back. At which point, what did you do?
Hold it!
You mean you chased after him? I don't recall the reason why, but I ran after him into the back of the shop. And what about his peephole in the door you mentioned? Well, unsurprisingly, the storeroom door was a solid job, made out of stout wood. But there's a small opening about head height that lets you see what's in there from the outside. Actually, I should know that, shouldn't I? I looked through it myself that night. With my big old eyes. And what about you burglar brothers? Did you see what went on through the peephole as well? Not likely, Gov. Didn't see nothing of the sort, Gov. I doubt these 2 buffoons were even aware of the peephole's existence. So the Skulking brothers were there. They didn't see the killing of Mr. Winterbank take place. Inside the storeroom, I could see the broker and that young girl standing there. The defendant, or the defendant. Yes, though neither of them noticed I was looking. The girl raised her gun and pointed it straight at the man. And then, what did you see next?
Hold it!
Yes, when the crime was discovered, the defendant was found with a gun in her hand. But that was Mr. Winterbank's gun, from which only a single bullet had been fired. And as we've already established, Mr. Gray, that bullet was fired at you. but no, it wasn't the pawnbroker's gun that the pickpocket girl had when I saw her. It was, yes, the bullet from Windybank's gun grazed my arm, and yes, the Skulkin's gun grounded the detective. But this was another gun entirely, a third gun. The broker's gun was up in the murder weapon, so clearly there had to be a third firearm involved. In other words, the accused must have had their own gun with her at the time.
Objection!
But no other gun was found at the scene. Calm yourself, counsel. Sorry? You must consider the events in order. At first I saw the broker and the girl glaring at each other, but then all of a sudden, the broker turned to run. And it was at that moment that the little gutter rat shot him in the back. Where would he run to? A chilling image, I must say.
Hold it!
All over her? Yes, through the peephole I saw it clearly. Of course, the stains are invisible now, what with the coat being such a dark colour. But I assure you that garment is sullied with the victim's blood. Well, it is sullied with blood, that's for sure. But it's not Mr. Windybank's blood, is it? No, that's right. It's Mr. Mason Milliton's blood from the McGilded case when McGilded stabbed him 2 months ago. It's so annoying. If only they accept Hurley's chemical analysis, we could prove that. But they won't, so unfortunately we can't use it as evidence to support our case. And then Sherlock comes in and is just like, I have come with a cunning plan. Who are you? I'm the great detective. Welcome, hi. I have made it so that my design of this blood chemical has been officially recognized by the Scientific Council. You what? And now you have no choice but to accept it as truth. Mother.
Hold it!
Did I hear you correctly? She threw the gun out of the room? Well, that's right. After the broker fell to the floor, she started walking over. Over where exactly? In the direction of the storeroom, to where I was watching. Of course, I quickly retreated, and then... Wait. Did he make a mistake there? In the direction of the storeroom door. Okay, no. I didn't read that last part where it says door. And then, the girl dropped the gun through the peephole onto the floor on my side to the door. But why on earth would she do such a thing? I couldn't tell you. Perhaps she was hoping to distance herself from the murder weapon. Without thinking, I went and picked it up. I suppose I was worried about just leaving it there in case any more tragedies took place. Yeah, sure, buddy. So it was just you, in fact, who took the third gun for the scene of the crime. Yes, it was yours truly. I left the clear-up to my lackeys and left. Clear-up? We had a bit of mess around on the counter, so Mr. Whistle and Flute taught us here to tidy it up. He thinks he got bloomin' mummo sometimes. Well, I was paying you enough, by God. For thousands of years I've laid dormant. Who disturbs my rust? Sleep. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket? You're like a bull as a gate, ain't you? Oh, what's going on here?
Excuse me.
Gentlemen. Something wrong, Sunshine. That should be my line. Do you realize you were just violently shaking Mr. Skulkin? Blimey, he's a bit of an ogre, ain't he? What's going on just now? You saw him. He grabbed me with a whistle. Why the blazes, he said, didn't you mention the third gun when we got you down to the station? Why didn't you? 'Cause we didn't know nothing about it. All that flaming people on the door. Sorry about that. I can be prone to losing my rag sometimes. Not hurt, are you? Cool, blimey. See, that's the way he's looking at me. I tell you, this D's giving me the willies. I thought he was your brother. That was strange. The inspector doesn't normally get quite as worked up as that. He wouldn't normally grab someone. No, that wasn't like Gregsy at all. Turns out Gregsy is actually a part of all of this. He's also leaking secrets. He's evil, and we didn't know it all along. He's normally all sweetness and light, no matter what I say to him. Yes, well, I think you might be a special case, Iris. Because you're a special little girl. Well, anyway, that was definitely out of character. My lord! Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Explain yourself, officer. I have the results of the test that was ordered earlier today, my lord. Ah, the blood. The accused overcoat. Thank you, officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. I presume you have no objection, counsel? No, my lord. Well, there you have it. The report, please, Inspector. Yes, sir. Traces of human blood were found on the overcoats of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. From the extent of the stains, it would appear that they were a result of spattering following a gunshot wound. End of report. Oh, goodness me. See? What did I tell you?
Objection!
No, the blood on the overcoat is not Mr. Windibank's. What on earth makes you say that, counsel? The coat originally belonged to Mr. Magnus McGilded. Just before his overcoat was deposited at Windibank's, McGilded had fatally stabbed Mr. Mason Milverton. So the blood in that overcoat is the blood of the brickmaker from the omnibus case.
Objection!
Well, the dead cannot speak. Isn't that right, my Nipponese friend? Sorry? 2 months ago in this very courtroom, did you not argue fervently for Mr. McGilded's innocence? And yet, now that the man is dead, you brand him as a murderer? Your conduct shatters any shred of respect you may have had earned yourself in this country. But that was... I call it bally disgrace. Treachery is what that is. Crikey, how did it tell me whether the blood in that overcoat is 2 months old or not? Even a stereoscope couldn't find the answer, help the answer to that problem pop out. It can't be done. But we used Mr. Sholmes' specially formulated chemicals. Mr. Sholmes is a detective, not a chemist. Would you put such faith in the chemical formula devised by me, for example, when I'm a communications officer? I held out Przewalski to starving boy, and he ran away crying. What? What is that going to do anything? Herlock Sholmes is barely more than a figment of the public's imagination. His name carries no weight in this courtroom. Oh wait, wrong voice. No weight at all. How could you say that? The victory is sweet indeed. This proves that my testimony is the whole truth from start to finish. How do you arrive at such a conclusion, sir? As the witness said, the accuser's coat was spattered with blood on the victim. The only way Mr. Grain could have possibly known this fact is if he saw it happen. In other words, his testimony is solid, the conclusion is singular. It was the accused who shot the victim in this case. That is the whole truth. My lord, been a long battle this one, but this old warhorse has something to say now, if you please. Mr. Foreman, As of this moment, sir, the squadron has reached its final decision again. Ready, men? All for one now. Sir.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Well, it would appear that, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, have reached a unanimous verdict. The defense has consistently failed to unpick this witness's testimony. Consistently? Literally, we just started, man. Here's to any attempt to make it unpicking the juror's decision being equally successful. I don't believe it, after I've come so far. How is it all unraveling on me so fast? How very distressing. To be held in such low esteem. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Officer, you delivered the report now. That will be all, thank you. It occurs to me with some regularity, Mr. Naruhodo, that scientific truths are determined not by science, but by none other than the human mind. I know that voice. I figured I was doing the right voice there. Am I going mad? It's him, the boy! Mr. Sholmes! What is the meaning of this? Order! What business do you have here, detective? Last I heard, you were recuperating in hospital. As well as I would be had I not been set up upon an errand. What errand? Hurley, it's really you. You're awake at last. Yes, good day, Iris. I appear to be rather late to rise. My apologies. Now, my lord, if you will humour me. In what manner, sir? I have something of great importance I wish to give to the young lawyer over there. I need no more than 5 minutes. Would you be so kind as to spare us that time? What say you to this, Lord Van Zeeks? This trial has taken many hours of the court's time. We've spent so long already. Exactly, having spent so long already, we don't want to go wasting any more precious time. As I was saying, having spent so long already, it would seem churlish to deny the defense a mere 5 minutes. Very well then, counsel, you have 5 minutes. Hey, he's back in his outfit. My dear fellow, I apologize for my tardy arrival. Mr. Sholmes, are you all right now? All right, I'm all wrong. Sorry? I've only just managed to summon the strength to stand, man. I asked the judge for 5 minutes. But I fear even that may prove too much for me. Pray forgive me, for should I pass out? Let's make this discussion as short as possible. Hurley, this place is full of idiots. None of them see how wonderful your chemical blood analysis is. Ah, well, that concoction of mine was really just a bit of sport to assist me in my investigations. I never took the trouble to refine it for appraisal for the scientific community. An oversight on my part. Yeah, we could really use this. Just be like, split. Oh, this is Tony's blood. You know, Tony, the bad guy. Right. Honesty, surely not. But enough of that. I'm here to give you this, my dear fellow. What's that? A lavender furoshiki wrapping. A leaving present from Miss Susato. From Miss Susato? If possible, matters were to be settled without me giving you this. Those were her instructions when she asked me to do her this favor. I don't understand. Miss Susato foresaw today's fence, I believe. She knew that the culprit would attempt to escape justice by means both devious and underhanded. And that you, Mr. Naruhodo, fighting fairly as you are wont to do, would find yourself in a considerable peril. At that very moment of crisis, you were to be given this small parcel. But those were the dear lady's instructions. An evening present from Susato-san. Whatever could it be? It's a gun! We're gonna shoot everyone in the court and then we win! Oh god, it really is a gun! What is this? Oh, it's the machine I made. The one that makes doors? Waka. Look, I used this. It's my latest invention. What? What is that? I call it the cat flapper-mat. It can make a cat flap from a very furry little friend that will like wacky in seconds. Oh. What's Susie up to? Mr. Sato muttered the following words before she left. I'm a failure. I don't deserve to be a judicial assistant. What? Didn't she say something like that? You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. It's the last... Everyone's giving me their Hamon now to defeat their evil vampire. Whatever did she mean by that, Sholmes? That night when you left Winterbanks in pursuit of the thieves, Miss Susato made use of this contraption for a certain purpose. That is your answer, dear fellow. Not at all cryptic, then. Susato-san used his Kappa flapper mat that night, but why? To look at the document, probably. The cat flapper mat has been entered into the court record. Your 5 minutes is over. Susato, deep past overdrive! How much have we been going for? We're going for 1 hour 30 minutes, so we still got some time. We're out of time already? I'm grateful for you affording us that brief recess, Mr. Reaper. I need no thanks, Detective. After all, the die is cast. Is it really? The jurors are unanimous in their leanings. No doubt my learned friend will consider a summation examination. But any attempt to alter the verdict now would be utterly futile. I wonder. Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? The rest is down to you, dear fellow. What is your plan? The rest is down to me. I need to be careful here. If I make the wrong move, the trial will end. Badly. My lord, the defense requests... The second one makes more sense. Further cross-examination.
Objection!
The jurors have spoken. Protocol dictates you may not cross-examination a new witness now.
Objection!
We didn't finish. The defense is not asking for a cross-examination of a new witness, rather to continue one with of an existing witness. What? It would appear that rather important detail has escaped your attention, Mr. Reaper. My lord! Requesting your lordship's permission to interrupt the cross-examination. Thank you, for officer. Very well. The cross-examination is hereby temporarily suspended. If it's in a separate, if it's going to be continued, then I probably will stop there, Refratron. Depending on how far this goes. If it's like a few more hours, then no, I won't be continuing. I presume you have no objection, counsel? No, my lord. So nobody can say that anything then. If Runo asks to resume his cross-examination of Mr. Graydon, the court is obliged to allow it. This is absurd. You've been played, Van Zeeks. Yeah! I'll remind those present that this is my courtroom. I concur the defense is entirely within its right to request a continuation of the cross-examination. However, I will not permit an unremitting protraction of these proceedings. Therefore, I have decided to afford the defense one final opportunity to conclude the cross-examination. Counsel, you must choose but one statement from the witness testimony, and but one piece of evidence to present in support of the argument against it. A single chance to present evidence? If following that the situation remains unchanged, I shall move to education. Is that clear, counsels? We will not press the witness any further. My lord. Yes, my lord. A single statement and a single piece of evidence? Most generous. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's high time I fell in a dead faint. I leave this in your capable hands. Good night. Of course he does it like that. Mr. Sholmes! To stand so oh God, what is that word? Insouciantly before the court in a state of such high fever. Either the man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling. I imagine he's feeling very little now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers. I made sure of that. Strike a man when he's down, why don't you? Well then, counsel, are you fully prepared? I guess. Yes. One statement, one piece of evidence. I won't let Mr. Sholmes down, or Iris. And I won't waste this final chance that Mr. Zado-san has given me. This is going to decide the entire outcome of this trial. I figured I saw something odd about it, because the pictures showed the peephole in one, but didn't show it in the other one. I generally just assumed that it was like, oh, maybe they just they couldn't be bothered to do it for the other ones, so they just did that. But no, it could be that the door never had a peephole, and Susato used the gun to make the peephole. But then what do I press on that? Very well, under the terms I have outlined, you may resume your cross-examination. The moment of the shooting, again. Ooh, what is this music? It's just a thud in the background, yeah. Okay. There. This is the one. What do I present first? Because you can see here, there's no such peephole. But then you look here, and it's there. But do I present pictures first, or do I present this first? Because this would be proving as to why there's a thing, but they don't know why there was a thing. I'm just going to have to present.
Objection!
Just do it. What on earth is that eccentric construction, counsel? Oh, it's my cat flapper mat, my lord. It makes a way to get cats in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of and make a new little door in the middle of it. That's right, my lord. It's a device for creating so-called cat flaps. And I'm here today to try and sell it to you. That's what he's sounding like. Small doors for cats that come and go as they please, without their owners having to open the main door. I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves. But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case. Oh, really? Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door. Not being a keeper of cat myself, I'm afraid I fail to see what this has to do with the matter at hand. Perhaps it would help if I described its function more another way then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all. I beg your pardon? A peephole, you say? 2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windybank had taken place. Oh, that's right. According to the newspaper work at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Scholes. Yes, the 3 of us were together, and it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time. Your assistant did what? There was a peephole in the storeroom door. I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked door storeroom. This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said as much in my testimony. How else would I have witnessed the crime, for pity's sake? Yes, how could you? What? Counsel, kindly say what you mean. All right, it's time. Time to strike the final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such a time as she did, the door had no hole in it to look through. What? No! It looks like the woman fell over then.
Objection!
This is a farce. Are you suggesting that the peephole on the door was... Yes, it was created only after the incident had taken place by my judicial assistant using this device. Your assistant tampered with the crime scene whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions. That is a most serious act of vandalism. For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes that I left the scene in order to pursue the Skulking brothers and the alert police. And nevertheless, in the light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graydon's testimony is riddled with holes. Riddled with... Explain yourself, counsel. I'm getting more and more like toffee with my words now. The majority of Mr. Graydon's testimony that appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door. Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back. However, if at the time of the incident that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies. Order! 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 Is there any credence in this revelation?
Objection!
None whatsoever, as my learned friend has surely realized. Exactly! This is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me. I'm afraid not, sir. Of course it is. Do you seriously expect people to believe that plaything can cut through solid wooden door? Oh yes, I designed it very powerful. It can cut through even the toughest of doors. That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second. I had a feeling you'd say that. Now we gotta prove it. What? Waggy cooey. Time for dinner. You put... Okay, did it without me realizing you did that. Hi. Well... young lady, this is Old Bailey. One does not make a cat flap in the open paneling in that Old Bailey. I'm not done yet, don't worry. This doesn't mean that the peephole in the storeroom door at Windibanks was made by your machine. And there's no way you can prove that it was. No, but it's easy. What? The cat flap my cataflapomatic creates are all a fixed size, and the dimensions of the peephole at Windibanks are an exact match. Ugh. Old Sicky's lost for words. Excellent work, Iris, thank you. And now it is my learned friend's turn to be lost for words. I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for the Eastern Island Home. Well, yes, that's true. And then you may have some difficulty in establishing all of the facts. For the sake of an argument, let us assume the people whose dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the people cut? Prosecution demands proof of your answer. What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, Lord Van Zeeks? It's very simple, my lord. The defendant argues that the people was created after the incident using this device. But now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to the fact. There's no proof. And for as long as the defendant remains unable to prove that the people was made, my learned friend's claims amount to nothing more than a baseless accusation. What? Indeed, that is so, Lord Van Zeeks. Well, counsel, don't give up now, Runo. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through. I don't know if I can do this, but I do know one thing. Susanoo-san is the greatest judicial assistant in the world! Very well, the counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. Proof that the people on the door of Winterbank's storeroom was created after the event and not before.
Take that!
What are you? A print from that detective's infernal cameras again? You really getting his voice? I'm sorry, I'm trying. I know he's supposed to be sassy, and then I just got really into the role for a second there. My judicial assistant, Miss Susanoo Mikotoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman. Which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof. And the necessary proof in this photographic print, counsel. This print shows a scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premise. And it also shows the accused mercilessly wielding a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker. But more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background. Let me see that print again. I don't believe it. That really is quite remarkable. The doors of the storeroom is completely devoid of the people of any description. Mr. Graydon, you couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime scene as you claim to have done, because at the time it happened, there was no people in the door. In other words, your testimony, we spin, is a catalogue of lies. Order! I'm satisfied that the defense has made substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness testimony was entirely fallacious. Or fallacious. That's not the only thing we now know beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant's guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with a crime scene. But more importantly, good lord, there's more, Lord Van Zeeks. The defense may have established a reprehensible instance of perjury. But that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. Yes, that's right. What? I was there at the scene. It's true. And I was shot in the arm. It's true. He's getting more and more like evil as time goes on. He's just going crazy. But that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I am the victim here. Oh, please. No! I don't believe this. But they're right. As it stands now, I don't have any definitive proof that he is the culprit. Still, he can't worm his way out of it now. Iris, you know what they say. There's no point locking the cat's door after the cat has been bolted. Isn't that right, Bruno? No, never heard of that. As Hurley always says, one lie begets another. No, wait, that might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories. Well, no matter who said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense. Make no sense? What do you mean by such a remark? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there is a fundamental inconsistency in your statements. What?
Objection!
This is a provocative talk, counsel. Won't you enlighten the court? Explain this alleged inconsistency. Iris was right. One lie begets another. The inconsistency is revealed by the lies in the witnesses' statements. They show that Mr. Graydon had knowledge of something he shouldn't have known anything about, namely, bloodstains. The bloodstains that were present on Miss Lestrade's coat. That's right, the victim had blood splattered all over her when she shot him. But how could you possibly have known that? Obviously, because I saw her do it through the peephole in the... The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that is so revealing. You're not making any sense. Then let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the peephole in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously Mr. Cat got your tongue, witness. The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred, and once I returned to the shop having failed to catch the two burglars, Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Windibank constantly carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, yes, of course. The place is chock full of pawned articles, and my lads have thoroughly examined them all. So I gave the order to have officers working around the clock in shifts so we could go through them. And consequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the people on the storeroom door. So the fact that its existence forms your basis of a testimony is completely inexplicable.
Objection!
And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime scene take place through the peephole in the door. How on earth is that possible? Could I have a word, please, my Lord Van Zeeks? Speaking, Inspector. It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station now, put to my report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so it was all the same to you. Permission denied. Oh. It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You will remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes. Oh, of course, sir. Mr. Graydon, I get the feeling that this Gregson is about to have something revealed about him or something. You shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. Which can only mean that you must have been informed about it by somebody else.
Objection!
Stop there, my learned friend. You realize, I trust, that the words you just uttered have extremely serious implications. Yes. But the defense believes that the details about this case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And, in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's really only one person that could be. Who is the person in question, counsel? Who gave this witness details of the crime scene to facilitate his false testimony? Gregson, I'm disappointed in you.
Take that!
The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson. Eh? Me?
Objection!
I'd better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my learned friend. Consider the fact that we have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learnt of it only during the course of the trial today. Indeed, preparations for this trial were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess, while the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communication station. And until that time, Mr. Graydon could have had no idea, no inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court. Are you suggesting that until such time as he was summoned? Yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the people. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position. That he would have had to defend himself against the accusation that he was the third intruder. You're suggesting to the court it was while this trial was in progress that he received the information so that he could commit perjury in order to save his skin. Exactly. And the only person with knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson. This is a blooming outrage. If you can finish the case, it is an extreme cliffhanger and the ending is too short for its own stream. I don't know. Why would I give away details of our investigations to this fella, eh? I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess in any case. Had you forgotten that? Quite true. I have a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawn brokery. Which means the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after receiving resumed following the recess. Since then, they've been in full view of the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't possibly have occurred, but they did. Oh, I just remembered something, Bruno. What is it, Iris? There was one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Ginny was testifying. Oh, yes, now that you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve McGilda's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it. It was during that testimony. I remember finding it strange at the time. Mr. Graydon and the inspector seemed to be having some kind of secret discussion. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then.
You little toe rag, you're making this all up. I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why would I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke?
Admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense. What deal, counsel? I wonder if perhaps in exchange for details about the people at the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector. It was fish and chips. The one thing he couldn't refuse.
I'm sure I need not remind the inspector that if found to be true, striking a deal of any kind with a witness would be considered a great case of malfeasance. Well,
Objection!
It is becoming clear that jumping in with the accusations is Nibbody's student's specialty. I don't do that. The stakes so high, the prosecution is not prepared to listen to such baseless charges. It is incumbent of the defense now to present evidence in support of this diabolical claim. Evidence? Just what are you proposing? That the inspector demanded the witness in return. The court must see proof of this alleged deal. If Inspector Gregson really did strike a deal with Mr. Graydon, then logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for. That must be it. Bruno, do you think it could be...
Yes. It's the missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle. I must press you for an answer now, Council. Save. If you can finish the case, it is an extreme cliffhanger and the ending is too short for its own stream. Or if you finish the next stream and then play Mario Kart for the next hour and a half, I don't have that game, nor will I. So, I can't do that. What was I going to say? If the next part of the case is an hour long, I will not stream it. What evidence explains the nature of the alleged deal that Inspector Gregson made with the witness?
I get the feeling it's just going to be this. Because he would be able to provide who he's been leaking to. Yeah, as well.
Take that!
This, my lord, this shows exactly what the deal between these two men was all about.
Well, Inspector, what do you say to that for yourself?
About 30 minutes. Oh.
It would appear the answer has no way satiated your appetite.
Some of that bite should be directed to my learned friend, I feel. I'm very surprised at Gregsy. There must have been a compelling reason for him to give away such key secrets like that. Well, what's the most important thing to the inspector? What could have motivated him to? Well, most Scotland Yard inspectors that I know of would put nothing above their duty to policing. So, do we have evidence that's related to the inspector and his duties?
Duties. Must press for an answer now, Council. What's the alleged reason?
He has anything to do with the guns. I guess this because he was trying to get this. And he didn't want to present it, so
Take that!
he would need the other one.
Inspector Gregson.
Besides this murder, it is not true that you've been working on another very important case.
What are you getting at now, Sunshine?
Is it possible that this other top secret case is what's alluded to in the newspaper article here? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice.
How the bleeding Nora could you...
We discovered that during the course of this trial, the music box deposited at Mr. Windybanks by Magnus McGilded, a special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that encoded on the pair of discs that were in McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second of the discs containing those secrets, you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the disc for details of the case.
You little... Ah!
He's losing his chips.
Order! Order! Order!
On the day of the incident, when we met you at Windybanks, you said this.
I'll be taking that, whatever it is called, Mr. McGilded, down to the yard, thank you very much.
So hand it over.
No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine. I'm sorry, miss, but anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. And because I want it. Scotland Yard already knew at that time, isn't that right? That Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets. My orders were, recover the medium used to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry. And do it on the QT. Strictly hush-hush. And that explains why, when I presented this disc as evidence in court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew it contained highly confidential information. Blimey, not likely. I mean, I wasn't that sure of it myself. I realized there was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs, you did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness? To aid and abet this man and give him false testimony? There's no other way that Mr. Gregson or Mr. Grayton could have known of the existence of the peephole. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these two men. No!
Objection!
If, and I stress if, this sobering assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is as we speak, here in this very courtroom. Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that? You're the one that's trying to prove this, man! Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective. What? What's that supposed to mean, eh? As a seasoned officer, the investigator or inspector will have approached this alleged case with caution. Sir, he would have not accepted a gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand. Good gracious, then you mean to say Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession? He has the second disc actually on his person.
Yes!
The defense demands the inspector is searched at once. Definitely. They could only have struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before. And Gregsy hasn't moved from the witness stand since. My lord, please, exhort an examination of his personal effects immediately. Well, Inspector. This young lad wants to be toned down his imagination. He's insulted me and my profession quite enough. However, if you will put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement, then I'll happily submit my body to a body search. What? He's going to agree to it. I presume you're aware of the precipice of which you now teeter my learned student friend. You made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following searching of this inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you will return to your defense court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand that yours that you are severely reprimanded. That sounds serious. Indeed, to have a visiting student make such a defamatory remark about our country's most senior police force. It's not something Her Majesty's own government will be able to overlook. I don't know if it was back then, but now it's like people just talk crap about anything. You're just threatening Ruder because you're scared. The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences. It's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow, something doesn't feel quite right here. Very well, counsel. You know the implications, so let me ask you one final time. Yes, my lord. Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the witness's personal effects? I'm going to say no and probably inspect someone else. Yes, the defense formally demands the search be conducted. Well, don't say you weren't warned. But your typical Nibonese stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough. I've got nothing to hide. Very well then. Bailiff, conduct a search of the inspector's personal effects. The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson. What? Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me. No, Inspector, not you. Somebody else. What's the meaning of all this, eh? Lost it, have you? At last have you, son? The court shouldn't have to put up with this nonsense. You're being completely irrational.
Be quiet, all of you. Bruce doing what you all told him to do and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith.
Irish, yeah!
Because that's the British way. Sure.
Well, son, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense's counsel's conviction and eagerly awaits his next words. What? Don't be hasty, my lord.
I'm not speaking about the things I've seen in court today. I'm fairly sure that I know who has the disc at the moment. There's only one person it can be.
Counsel, of whom do you respect the search for? Me! I did it! I've got him!
Now, it's either going to be the guy, or it's going to be the two thieves. And seeing as they just had a physical altercation...
Take that!
Of, my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin.
Well, I never. Eh? Blind? Me? Him? Very well then, bailiff. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of personal effects.
Hold it!
Please, my lord. Inspector, Scotland Yard has to reject with this search.
Objection!
I knew it was going to be the last. Fortunately for you, Inspector, your objections carry no weight here.
Eh?
In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object.
But Lord Van Seeks.
I have no idea what forces are in play in that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial.
Bailiff, carry out your search.
Now hold on a mo. I don't know nothing about no disc. Cut it out!
Ah! Here, my lord, in the witness's pocket. I found this. Good lord, that's
Another music box disc.
I don't know nothing about it. Nothing.
This is the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson?
Ah! Order! Mr. Skulkin, what have you to say for yourself?
Gordon Bennett, just Gordon Flamin Bennett. I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc. Honest to God.
Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck was between the witness and this detective, no?
Without question, my lord.
Then, for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of that disc that the inspector traded for information?
Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point in his trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment.
recall. What unusual behavior?
It was, yes, during my cross-examination of Mr. Graydon. Tell me, Mr. Graydon, when you left the pawnbrokery that night, was it by any chance with the second disc in your jacket pocket?
I admitted nothing of the sort. I'ma beat you up, see?
Well, Mr. Graydon answered my question. The inspector appeared to have grabbed Nash skulking by his coat, shaking him violently.
Yeah, he did it all. Thought me knocking was gonna fall clean off my head, I did. I was wishing I was born in his brother, I was.
What exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that?
I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned around and grabbed me and whistled and started shaking me. Why the blazes did you mention the third gun when we were down at the station? That's what he said. Held it right down my ear, all he did. My head's still throbbing now.
The way the detective behaved then was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc.
Well, bless my wig. He hit it. You... I'm afraid I fail to comprehend the motive here. If the detective had acquired the disc he was after, why on earth would he proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This court is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence.
It would appear the inspector was not at liberty to do that.
Why ever not?
As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special circumstances, conditions. My orders were recover the medium used to convey the secrets linked to the ministry, from the ministry, and do it on the QT. Strictly hush-hush.
Hush-hush. Top secret assignment, is it?
As far as we're aware, information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It seems that if that information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector?
I'm operating under direct orders from the ministry. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer the question.
So, realizing there was a chance that you may be searched here in court, took steps to hide the disc when acquired from a witness.
Does that mean?
He's only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him. To slip the second disc into his pocket.
So it was all a pretense? Well now, Inspector Gregson, do you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit to the accusation made against you of all this alleged deal?
Admit to it, yours truly, please. Mr. Graydon. This is more me showing my frustration with this guy. Just let me win! God! Clearly our Eastern visitor has an uncommonly active imagination. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector.
Objection!
But then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the peephole? I'm under no obligation to explain. What? Yes, I lied in my testimony. That I admit. So sentence me accordingly. But that is all I admit. Murder, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with a detective. All of it is all this young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea about what any of it that is about. You... What? Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc?
Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this is and nothing more. I am acting in the best interest of the country. Whatever I've done, I've been for the name of justice. Who cares if I get one person caught falsely in a charge of murder? So, as members of the public of this fine country, I'd like you to think that justice will be your guiding light when you're making your decisions. It is quite a quandary indeed. Rarely have I encountered such extraordinary tumultuousness in the conclusion of a trial. But nevertheless, the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for the final leanings. Well now, as a fellow servant of the Queen and country, I must say I sympathize with the old inspector. Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one becomes a good judge of character. Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at the case. It's all blurred to me. Crikey. I have to keep adding that, otherwise I keep losing the Australian accent. Well, as a fellow professional, I'd like to put my faith in the detective, really. Raiden is highly skilled operator staff, currently in presence of idle staff. The detective has very much trust in eyes. More than this, I cannot say. I don't believe it. These 6 jurors are... They're going to believe Gregson. Is they declare the decision now? Is Ginny going to be found guilty? If I don't manage to procure some definitive evidence right now, then we're going to lose. Either some proof that Mr. Graydon killed Winterbank or stole those government secrets, or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness. Well then, counsel, I think it's time I impose on the jurors to declare their final decision, no? That is, unless you have some compelling evidence you have thus far not presented to the court. I let the judge call on the jurors to announce the leanings. Gino will be found guilty. There's no choice then. We'll have to throw some more evidence at them, Bruno. This is it now. It all comes down to this. I am saving so much in this last episode. Who do I present as evidence against? Gregson or Graydon? Can I even... Oh, God. Wait, I don't even know what I would present in that case. Not really sure. We haven't presented this at all, but I don't know how it would be relevant. We haven't presented my armband, but that's not really going to help. We haven't presented this. The only thing I can think of would be to go against either Graydon or Gregson with the 2 discs to play it, but I don't know if we can do that. So it'd be like, okay, if this isn't government secrets, then I'll play them both. We'll see what they learn from that. Screw it. Inspector Gregson. There's one final piece of evidence I would like you to see. Eh? What's that then?
If you refuse to acknowledge that you did in fact strike a deal with the witness here today, then you leave us no choice but to examine the piece of evidence thoroughly.
Oh, go on.
This is my last chance. Looks like I'm going to have to force his hand here. One final piece of evidence to get his detective to admit to his clearly struck a deal with Graydon. I guess I just present it.
Take that!
Is that Mr. Gimmick Peculiar Music Box Council?
Yes, with the disc already in place, ready to play. I think perhaps now would be a good time to listen to the sound produced by the music box again. Only this time, with the second disc we just discovered set in place as well.
Goodness, this disc, Council.
Hold it!
No, wait, I can't let you do that.
Why not?
Because, well, because it's got nothing to do with this case. That's why.
Objection!
Not true, Inspector.
Eh?
The defense has already proposed that the sounds heard by the court earlier from this music box were part of a Morse code message. We know that the Morse code comprises of two distinct tones. The defense believes that the second disc contains the second tone needed to complete the message. And now we have a chance to confirm that theory.
Oh, crying out loud, Sunshine, we're talking about state secrets here. If you go letting that whole courtroom hear confidential information like that, it's treason.
And then do you admit the charge? That in order to protect those state secrets, you engage in unlawful dealings with the witness?
You're mad. If you let that secret information out into the public domain, you'll be making an enemy of the entire British government, you idiot.
Objection!
Smack that desk, yeah!
Let's not forget, Inspector, that you, a Scotland Yard officer, leaked confidential case details to a witness. You continue to lie to a court, and all because, by fair means or foul, you're determined to do your duty. Well, by fair means or foul, I'm prepared to do mine.
Don't you dare.
It's treason, then. I will not stop at nothing to protect my Ket client. I don't care who I make an enemy of.
Van Zeeks is just like, okay, I'll take a drink then.
My lord, if you please. The court must hear the sound made by that music box.
Come on, Van Zeeks. For Pete's sake, stop him.
Objection!
Dramatic foot.
Inspector, you should know my methods by now. I'm a prosecutor. I am no Scotland Yard puppet. In this courtroom, my duty is to the law, so let me propose the toast. It's uncovering the truth by fair means or foul.
Yeah! No! Very well. The defense stance here is that the prosecution has been made very clear, I feel.
I get the feeling that it's just going to be like his grocery list or something. And he doesn't want people to know about it.
Therefore, in accordance with the defense's request, the court will listen to the music box set in the operation once more. This time with the second disc in place, and both discs playing simultaneously. Oh, listen to that. It's unmistakable now.
It's Morse code.
Hold it. All right, I admit it. Whatever you want, but for the love of God, shut the bloomin' box up!
Wonder what we got out of that. Be like, oh, code for the missiles is 1121.
Missiles? This is the Victorian era. We don't have missiles. We don't even have space rockets yet.
Let me ask you again then, Inspector Gregson. Did you or did you not strike a deal with the witness next to you in the stand, Mr. Ashley Graydon?
Specifically, did you furnish the witness with confidential case details in exchange for this music box disc?
If you know how to translate it properly, you already know. I don't. I will probably look it up later.
Did you reveal the existence of that people in the pawnbroker's storeroom, Inspector? I did. Stop! What are you doing, man? It's all exactly as the young Eastern lawyer said. The trial resumed after the recess. We were here in the stand together. That's when he approached me with the detail. Shut up, you imbecile! Shut up!
You there.
You're the detective who turned up at the pawnbrokery the other day, aren't you? I may have something you're looking for, Inspector, with me at this very moment. So how about a trade? I suggest you accept. More information that may make certain individuals uncomfortable will soon become very public indeed. Couldn't let that information become public knowledge, not under any circumstances. So I accepted the man's proposal and told him details about the case that should put him in the clear. The people on the storeroom door and the bloodstains on the overcoat. By giving false testimony, this witness intended to have the defendant wrongly accused of murder. Inspector, you knew that. Yet you still revealed those details to facilitate the witness's perjury. I did. But then it turned out the people had only been made that night after the incident took place. Scotland Yard wasn't aware of that, if I'm perfectly honest. Well, Mr. Graydon, what do you say to yourself? I'm gonna be sick. There's nothing more, nothing, and no one left for you to hide behind. You struck a deal with the inspector in order to escape conviction of a very serious crime. Namely this. You are a third-party intruder who's broken into the pawnbrokery in the night in question. And you perpetrated the murder of the proprietor with Mr. Pop Winterbank. So many P's! You broke his staff. Traitor! Bailiff, restrain the man! At once! And then he just starts kicking butt and makes his way out. He's like a secret spy. That's it then. It's all over. Can I get an objection? I despised my life growing up. Those slums are vile places. I was cursed from birth, born into poverty, the son of a penniless artisan. My parents did nothing but quarrel all day long. What little money they had was never spent on me. So I set about studying to better myself, to one day escape from that hellhole. You eventually became a communications officer. I admire your determination. But then you decided to try to sell government secrets? Why? Is this guy gonna die? I'm getting the feeling he's about to expose something and then like a secret organization takes him out. Isn't it obvious? Because I wanted money. Even now, years later, the nightmares of my life in the slums wake me in the small hours. I wanted to drown them out, with more money than anyone who lived in that squalor could ever imagine. Then one day I met him. Mr. Magnus McGilded. You're a fiend with a queer talent, so you are. I've money to throw your way if you're interested. All you need to do is go along with me a little plan now. I was to steal the ministry's telegraphic messages logs, and McGilded would buy them from me for a handsome sum. As I was responsible for inspections of the ministry's communications office, it was a simple enough task. The lure of the devil's operations. How easy it is to succumb. But you must surely have realized the seriousness of the crime you were committing. And for that reason, took great lengths to ensure that my actions were untraceable. By using things. My father was a brickmaker, though my mother divorced him when I was still a child. Yes, Mr. Mason Milverton. That's right. He was very skilled with his hands. He'd once been a music box maker apprentice. I imagined his skills would be sufficient to create a machine that would generate Morse code. So I sought out my father again to employ his services. It was the first time I'd seen him since I'd left the slums 10 years earlier. Oh, it's all artwork. I don't know. I didn't do his voice before because he didn't have one. So I'll just... Look at you, Ashley. What a fine gent you've become, eh? He was a different man on the one in my memory. A thin, frail old man. But poverty had never broken him. Never corrupted him like it had me. I was sure that he wouldn't help me if I told him the real reason. So I made up a story. I've got some work for you, Father. I need some music box discs made. Music box discs, eh? A musician friend of mine has written some music box. He wants to sell to the public. I'm doing the wrong voice. I brought the score with me. There are two, actually. I'd be a delighted son. It's been 20 years since I'd seen any work like this, though. Fetch my tools, would you? They're in the loft. That's how I made him make the two discs. Thereby splitting the information in two. We were taking considerable precautions indeed. It was to protect myself as much as anything. It meant that I could deal with McGilded in two separate transactions. The first involved the first half of the two discs, and the music box for playing them. I exchanged them with McGilded for 10 guineas, and then on receipt of the second disc he would pay 1,000 guineas. So, what happened on the omnibus 2 months ago? Was the second part of the deal the exchange of the second disc? Yes. I sold the man information that way a number of times already, but it seems he became reluctant to part with his money. But that doesn't make quite sense, Mr. Braden. Why would it that they were busted 2 months ago? Your father, Mr. Milverton, was the one dealing with Mr. McGilded, and not yourself. When I received 1,000 guineas after my first completed dealings with McGilded, I decided to give 200 to my father for his troubles. That's a lot still. 200 guineas is a lot. But my father realized something was amiss. In time, he worked out that I must be involved in something dubious, and when he did, he said to me, "The next time there's an exchange, you'll let your old man into it, understand? Otherwise, I won't want your money anymore. Take your money." That was my father's way of dealing with it, I suppose. Climb into the omnibus, hand over the second disc, and take the money from McGilded. And that's it. He had no idea what was actually on the discs I asked him to make. He never knew. Just like I'll never know why everything went so horribly wrong that night. I get the feeling that his father probably told him that he didn't want to do it anymore. Or his son, he didn't want his son to do in dark dealings. All I know is that the disc was taken from him and he never returned home. It was only then that I found out what sort of a monster McGilded really was. So after 10 years of not once uttering it, I swore on my father's name. To exact revenge. Revenge? As anyone with even the remotest knowledge of the man will no doubt be able to imagine. McGilded brought all of his wealth and influence to bear in the most despicable ways. To crush any semblance of justice in his trial. The crime scene was tampered with, evidence was fixed, and the witnesses were bribed. The trial 2 months ago was a farce from start to finish. My feet had barely touched British soil back then, and I walked into that hornet's nest completely unaware of the sinister background to it all. I'd made plenty of money on my dealings with the McGilded by then, so I spared nothing in my arrangements 2 months ago, and knew exactly who to hire. If you're willing to pay the price, there are people in this city willing to do anything you ask. McGilded himself had shown me that. Are you saying that... I think you have the picture now, after he twisted everything in his favor in this courtroom to ensure he walked free. I took matters in my own hands and delivered the justice that monster deserved. So he set the carriage on fire. That tragic accident following the trials here 2 months ago was planned and executed by yours truly. McGilded's death that day was caused by this man. He's killed 2 people. Everything is ready, sir, if you'd like to follow me into the courtroom. What's this, officer? It is sooner than I was led to believe. I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There's now some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. It is time for the inspection. They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. So that policeman who came to tell McGillicuddy he could examine the omnibus again. That's right, an imposter, hired by me. McGill used his wealth to manipulate the trial. He paid people to adulterate the omnibus with all manner of false evidence. He threatened witnesses to lie in their testimony. So I gave the man a taste of his own medicine. Once the omnibus was doused in paraffin... Oh, paraffin, Jesus. One of my sham policemen ushered Mr. McGillicuddy inside and sent him on a one-way journey to hell. An eye for an eye. But that's how I avenged my father's death. A spine-chilling account indeed. But that wasn't the end of it for me. There was a loose end, you see. A loose end. Yes, I should think it's obvious. The second disc, which my father had taken to exchange with Mr. McGillicuddy. Ah, yes. There was indeed no mention of it in the man's trial 2 months ago. Clearly because it had been removed from the scene of the crime. When I realized it was missing, I remembered something. Something from the first time I dealt with Miss Gilded. There's another cartoon one. This is the first of the 2 discs and the music box you need to play them. Well, look at that now. What an ingenious little invention. So then, as promised, 10 guineas for ye, young man. Oh, what's this? Winterbank's pawnbrokery. Aye, it is a pawnbroker's ticket, so it is. You can use it to redeem the article I've deposited there for you. There's no need to give a name. Just hand over the ticket and tell the fiend what's out with the watchword. I'll put a jewel in pawn for you. That'll fetch a good 10 guineas if you sell it, so it will. I've never even heard of a pawnbroker used it quite that way before. Have you not, Mr. Graydon? London's pawnbrokeries are very useful places, you know. Each one is like an extremely secure vault. And then that's all we talked about, I guess. So I knew that if he had taken steps to hide the disc, it would be in that pawnbrokery somewhere. And that on the night he killed my father, he must have entrusted the ticket to someone. Yes, to Gina. I remember now that when we first met you at Winterbanks that afternoon 2 days ago, you had a description of Miss Lestrade written down. How did you know who you were looking for? From the trial, that pickpocket's testimony was clearly peculiar. Anyone could see that. I realized immediately that she was another of Mr. McGillicuddy's pawns, and he must have threatened her somehow. I was fairly convinced it would be her who had the ticket, so I started to make some inquiries. This is a lot of talking. God, I had a strong suspicion the girl would come out of the woodwork of the redemption deadline. He was absolutely right. And yes, sure enough, she did. All I needed to do was wait until the girl went to the Winterbanks to redeem the article. But unfortunately, she redeemed only McGillicuddy's overcoat, the one disc that was in his pocket. The all-important music box with the second disc inside was missing. Because it had already been forfeited 2 days earlier. But I was unaware of that fact. Had I not been, I could have avoided my nighttime excursion. Meanwhile, as our investigation into the stolen government secrets was progressing, we picked up on the fact that McGillicuddy was involved. Inspector, recovered fast. My orders were to recover the stolen information as quickly as possible. We started gathering the fellow's possessions and examining whatever we could lay our hands on. We had a full-scale investigation going on that yard, but we had to keep it as quiet as we could. Then, when the inspector here took the disc from me in the pawnbrokery that day, I became nervous. I was sure the music box and the second disc was still there in the shop somewhere, so I knew that it was a race against time. I had to find those articles before the police did. So that's what prompted you to break into the place that same night? With the help of your old friends, the Skulking Brothers. What happened that night in the pawnbrokery can only describe as a nightmare. While Nash and Ringo were searching the counter, I'd located the music box I sold to McGilda on the shelves of forfeited articles. And the second disc was inside. Yes, I slipped it into my pockets with a very deep sigh of relief. But then, something entirely unexpected happened. What are you doing in my shop? Bang! Just immediately start shooting. A gunshot rang out in the shop and I felt a sharp pain in my left arm. I've got to say, a lot of the cases in this have been like with killers that didn't actually mean to kill someone. Not all of them, but some of them. Like, wow. The broker fired his gun and the bullet pierced your limb. Yes, exactly. But unfortunately, I decided to bring my own gun with me that night, just in case. So it was a reflexive shooting then? Before I knew what was happening, I'd fired back. The man had already turned to flee. I hadn't intended to fire in that direction, much less kill him. But unfortunately for both of us, the bullet hit him home. It struck him in the middle of his back as he fell through the storeroom door for refuge. A sorry, sorry tale. It all took place in the blink of an eye. I don't imagine Nash and Ringo ever realized what had happened at first. I was terrified, so I fled. And that's the whole story. That's everything that happened at Winterbanks on that wretched night. Earlier, you called McGilda a monster. A man who used his wealth and influence to distort the facts and escape justice for the crime of murder. What tragic irony. For what you have done is exactly the same. You've become the very monster you saw and despised so deeply in McGilded. Yes, I think I have. For I am the true monster. Roar! Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial. However, it would seem that at last we have arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, one of Mr. Ashley Graydon. He's been restrained, my lord, and he's been escorted to the yard. To be charged with the murder of Mr. Winterbank and the stealing of government secrets. Very good. And you, Inspector. Regrettably, you will have to face charges yourself. Yes, my lord, of course. It transpires that you were complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. The fact remains whether or not you were doing so in the line of duty. The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and inexcusable. Now to the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. Yeah? It is time for the final adjudication. Is the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Yes, sir. Gary Dev Squadron standing by, sir. It really isn't it now? The last push, the final call, the finishing whistle. My men are ready to deliver their verdicts. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. We will now declare the final decisions of this court. And they all do guilty anyway.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Yay! Haha, that's the stuff. I'm off the hook. Finally, Bruno, you managed to do it. Finally is the word. I really wasn't sure if we'd come out on top for a while there. Susie was right. You're the best lawyer in the world. Now hold on there a minute. We've only been to Britain. There might be other countries that have better lawyers. The French might have something. Oh. Mr. Lestrade, I'm not finished with you yet. Eh? What are you looking at me like that for? Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider. Eh? 2 months ago in my courtroom, no less, you gave false testimony, did you not? In relation to the trial today, not only did you not lawfully enter Winterbank's pawnbrokery, you've also attempted to abscond with Mr. McGilda's property, it seems. Eh? I ain't done nothing of the sort. Of course not. It's not like you were gleefully wearing McGilda's coat in your cell yesterday or anything. Just when I was getting excited about throwing a party for Ginny this evening.
And turning our attention to the defense, determining that when played together, the music box disc contained the message in Morse code was, well, it was certainly a most unexpected revelation, counsel.
Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage here today. I propose a toast to demanding that government secrets be disseminated before the entire courtroom.
Very sorry about that. It was the only way that I could get Inspector Gregson to admit what he'd done, so...
If I may something on that point, isn't that... It's, about the sounds produced by the music box before. I do wonder if that really was Morse code at all. What are you saying, madam? Oh, well, it's just that I'm really rather fanatical when it comes to Morse code, you see. So much so that the whole world seems to be covered in dots and dashes to me, in fact.
Goodness, man. Madam, I know healthy level of reception one feels.
But I must say that in my opinion, the sounds produced by those two discs were nothing more than that. A meaningless series of two different tones.
What? Can that really be? It wasn't Morse code after all? Like I said, you got to play things back.
It's got to be played in reverse or something.
My lord, the defense would like to listen to the music box again. Are you up your nuts? How many times do I have to tell you? Don't disc contain ministerial secret sunshine. Or sunshine?
This courtroom is not an appropriate forum to discuss the nature of government communications. We know McGilda conspired to trade national secrets with our enemies. Secrets acquired from Mr. Graydon. Now that the man has admitted to his crimes, we have no need to pursue this matter further. Ugh, but it's really going to bother me.
We just got to make impressions on the caramel, because we already got one of them. Just do the other one. Mr. Lestrade.
Yeah, my lord.
That which you have seen today here in this courtroom has been extremely disturbing.
Falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury, a grim catalogue of depravity.
An appalling experience to befall any child.
Come on, it ain't nothing I don't see most days in the back slums.
I beg your pardon?
If you're weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes. Gina. But look, I reckon I've worked something out today. The world ain't fair, but if you want to change it, you gotta start home. You gotta change how you are yourself.
Well, that's a very laudable lesson, I would say. I eagerly look forward to the born-again Miss Lestrade never facing my courtroom with her presence again. It turns out, in the next game or in the future, she becomes a lawyer, or heck, even a judge. Now, with regard to the murder of Mr. Pop Winterbank, proprietor of the pawnbrokery business on Baker Street, I hereby declare the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, not guilty.
Yay! fireworks burned down the entire establishment. Oh, okay. She had a firework in that thing?
That is all. Court is adjourned.
Woo! Oh, we're still here, are we?
On a personal note, I must say, you surprised me, my Far Eastern friend.
Oh,
Despite being a Nipponese, you saw through the pretense of malice that festered within that Englishman, and at the same time saw through to the surprising heart of your English client. You have a curious talent for judging character, especially considering our very different cultures.
I don't think there's anything curious about it. Well, whether we're from the Empire of Great Britain or the Empire of Japan, we're all human beings. We're not so very different on the inside.
We're not so different, you and I. You know, I took this case for one very simple reason. To lock swords with you once again here in the courtroom.
You did?
When I encountered you for the first time 2 months ago, it reminded me of toasting friendships and trust with one another Japanese, only to find that trust betrayed. Through you, I had hoped to look into the eyes of the man I once knew and try to understand.
Do you somehow know Kazuma? You mentioned something similar earlier today about total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. What happened exactly? The 30 minutes started after the confession ended, by the way. Oh, I thought you meant it was going to be a to be continued. I mean, how long have we got going? Apparently I had dropped frames at one point. Oh god, it's almost been 3 hours. Oh! How much is left now? What happened exactly?
You may ask, and one day, when the time comes, you will learn the answer, whether you like it or not.
Alright, then I'll have to wait for that day if I must.
Coming to be known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my retirement from service 5 years ago. It gives me cause to wonder if our meeting has some deeper purpose. So, farewell, my friend. Till we meet again in the next game.
Okay, we're finally here. 5:24 p.m. Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. Okay, so I can pause here. So I'm going to specifically ask, how much time is left for this? Is there still 30 minutes? Or is it like 10 minutes now? Because if it's 10 minutes, I might as well just finish it now. Because I don't want to end up just streaming for 10 minutes tomorrow. Or not tomorrow. Next time I stream this. Because I still got the extended cases. Like you said there's extra cases in between chapters for this first game, which we might be able to do. Just end here. It'd be best to end here. If you're sure. Because I'm not going to be able to speak for like an hour about the game. I mean, I could, but okay. If I'm trusting you on this, Rapatron. If everyone else is fine with that, I'll end it there. Because my throat is actually starting to hurt now. Because I've been non-stop role-playing, well, not role-playing, doing voices for like 3 hours. For you, probably 30 to 40, not counting credits. Okay, cool. That's great then. Actually, I just save here. Save. Yes. All right. So, everyone, if next time we stream this, it's only like 10 minutes long, you can blame Raffatron and everyone can go chase him. Nah, don't do that. Don't actually do that. You'll make me upset then. But yeah, we can see what happens next time. Like I said, we'll be picking this up again. We've still got the, I think there are side cases that are like in between some of these, which we will also check out. So we're not fully done with the first game yet, but we're getting close. So, thank you for joining me today. Hope everyone had a nice time. As usual, if you have not already, like, follow, subscribe to the bell notifications so you know when our next stream. If you want to support me, stick to Patreon and tips. And if you do become a patron, you get your name added to the patron list. Here, I'll give you a shout out at every stream, like I do with Hirorukuni, the Swordmaster 37, and Raffatron 2000. I thank you for the cute support. I greatly appreciate you all. And we managed to get an innocent girl off the charge of murder. So yeah, cool. We'll have to see what happens next time, and probably see if we can find out what's going to turn up for like the next game, because apparently these games are supposed to be one. So maybe there's going to be a cliffhanger. It's like, actually, suddenly Susato has been shot, or her ship has vanished on the seas. We now have to try and find her, or it's a mystery. Or it turns out Kazuma didn't die. He's actually alive the whole time. That would be stupid. I don't think they would do that. Because, you know, we saw him dead. So, yeah. We'll find out what happens next time. I'll be back tomorrow with more Dying Light, the following DLC, which we are also getting close to the end of. So we might finish 2 games this week. So that'd be great. But until next time, y'all have a nice rest of the day. I'll see you all either tomorrow for Dying Light or Thursday for more of this. So until then, you'll take care. Have a nice rest of the day. And thanks for joining. Hope everyone enjoyed. Had a lot of people here today. Hope everyone had fun. Bye, everyone. Raffatron. Bye, Baloroth. Thanks for joining. Catch you all next time. See ya.